y'all. My name is Jasmine Jones, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. And you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And it's a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Moonlight. How y'all doing? And we're sipping on Kahlua and strawberry Baileys. Yes, it's a dessert drink. So this movie really touches me deeply because I just feel like it's just this story of how black boys, especially gay black boys, but not even just gay black boys, just black boys, and how they aren't allowed to be free in certain ways because of misogynoir and the patriarchy and racism, and how they aren't allowed to be themselves. And I really like the song in the beginning of the movie, "Every nigga is a star," and it just kind of reminds me of that thing, that saying of we black people aren't free until all black people can be free. And it's true. This little boy in this movie feels trapped. He feels confused. He feels and the fact that there were small moments where he had people in his life to show him where he felt seen. That doesn't happen all the time, where these little black boys or anybody that is going through stuff can feel seen, but for black men especially, just to feel seen through and through and not be judged is, it's beautiful to see that in the movie, even though it's kind of this conflict between his mentor is also providing the drugs that caused his mom to turn against him in that way, and the thing is, so let's start with the review. So this movie is about this little boy named Chiron, and he lives with his mom. In the beginning, he lives in this apartment with his mom, and he's getting bullied at school by these little boys. So and I always tell folks that bullying is emotional abuse, and people don't take it seriously enough. You're not, my future children, you're not about to sit up here and bully my child. You're not about to sit up here and make my child feel less than or left out or mistreated, because bullying is emotional abuse, and people take that with them into adulthood just because it's done by a peer. I mean, romantic relationship abuse is done by a peer usually, and so that affects you mentally and emotionally. So why wouldn't something, especially during why wouldn't abuse by peers in your developmental years, constant abuse by peers in your developmental years, not affect you as an adult? And so there's a lot of people out there that were bullied by their peers growing up, and now they have complex post-traumatic stress disorder and don't even know it. I was bullied through elementary school, middle school, some parts, not really high school. No, not really high school. It was middle school. It was elementary school and middle school. But I remember how it used to feel different, or feel like the outsider, or feel like you're not good enough and things like that. And no one explaining really why, except for oh, you're weird or whatever. And so recognizing how that felt for me and how that followed me even into high school, even into young adulthood and stuff like that, I can see how it can follow someone else. And especially when you're discovering your sexuality, you're trying to figure out who you are. Little boys, little kids, they can have crushes. They can, if you don't remember being in elementary school and just having a feeling for someone, of a romantic feeling for someone, and not really, if you were heterosexual, you would be accepted, and you wouldn't have to really think about, why do I have this feeling, maybe initially, and then you talk to your friends about it, you talk to your parents about it, and trusted adults about it, and they explain it to you very, oh, you got a little crush on a boy or a little girl, and it's normal. But if you're a same-sex person, or you have a crush on the same sex person, it's like you learn early on that you can't talk about that shit, especially in the black community. And I feel bad about it, especially because this is basically because of colonialism. Like, if you look back in history, just like the Native Americans have like different genders within, even if you look at the Pacific Islanders, they have various different genders in their tribes and things like that, various different sexual orientations and things like that. But then, like, colonialism came into the whole continent of Africa, because there's not just West Africa, there's various different African countries that will kill the LGBTQIA plus folks. They will kill them for if they find out that they're like that. So the colonialism still affected the other countries, but just in different ways, you know. And so, like, before that happened though, like, we had tribes where we had various different genders, various different sexual orientations. It wasn't shamed in our communities and things like that. And that was taken from us. And now we persecute ourselves in the name of toxic Christianity that was put upon us. And, you know, like, all Christianity is not toxic. It's about intent, and it's about how you direct it. But how Christianity was brought into the African diaspora, the African community, is, you know, it was toxic. It was used to strip people of their rights. It was used to strip people of their identities, of their culture, and things like that. When slavery in the Bible was not chattel slavery. It was, you know, you were indentured servants. You had to pay off a debt, or it was one tribe conquering another tribe. Even slavery in tribal times, it was one tribe conquering another tribe, and then you became a part of the tribe and things like that. And so, is slavery wrong in general? Yeah, but like, chattel slavery is like the worst form, because it basically took a whole people's culture away from them, and then they had to rebuild their culture through these patchwork amalgamations of everyone else's cultures that were around them, because they weren't allowed to express their self-culture in their own way, you know. And so, to have that stripped away, and then you have these black communities that are just so against the gays, that are so against trans folks, that are so against, and then you have these little boys and women and trans folks that grow up feeling like they can't talk about it, they can't express it, but your body is expressing it. Like, the parts where he's going through puberty, and he's in high school, and he's having crushes, even in elementary school. So Chiron, the beginning of this movie, let me get into the movie. So the beginning of this movie starts off with, you know, he's running from bullies, and he ends up in like they call it a dope hole. I think that's the same as a trap house, but it was like empty. It was nobody in there and stuff. And then Juan, played by Mark, I can't say his name right, Marshala Ali. I'm sorry, he was supposed to be Blade, and I just feel like they just took that away from him, and it's fucked up. And, you know, if they were trying to put some white supremacy shit into Blade, and then the black folks was like, fuck this shit, I'm good, then I get it. But like, at this point, the only Blade that I recognize is the first Blade movie. No, because when you started injecting them white people into the second and the third, that's why the franchise died. Because you had this nigga in the first movie in a voodoo shop getting like, you know, like voodoo stuff so that he can keep his blood together and shit like that. So and then you, like, all of a sudden he's in Eastern Europe, and with these white, I don't like Blade 2 or 3. Well, the only Blade for me is the first Blade movie, and everything else, I mean, I haven't read the comic book, so the only Blade visual media for me is Blade 1. So if it wasn't gonna be blackety black like the first Blade, I don't even want it. I don't even fucking want it. You know, I want to see black vampires falling in love with black women and not murdering them at the end of the movie. and walking off with a white woman. That wasn't, no. I want to see a black vampire Twilight situation with a black woman, and it's no. So if that was the case and they walked off that shit because it wasn't blackity black, I get it. But I wish they could have made it, and I wish it could have been blackity black. And I wish it could have been like Twilight, and then they went off into the darkness, these two beautiful black vampires, and it was magical. But maybe one day. So anyways, his character is Juan, right? So Juan sees Chiron running into this building, right? And like seeing him being chased by these boys, and the boys are throwing stuff. And I'm just like, how do they know that he likes boys? Like, because like they're calling him the F word and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, and then the mom is all like, you've seen how he walks. And I'm just like, now I have to look at, I wasn't even paying attention to how this child walked. But when I did pay attention to how this child was walking, I was just like, he just is walking with stooped shoulders and head there. How exactly is he walking? He didn't have a little switch to his hips. He was just walking. I was confused as to how they could tell that this child was possibly homosexual. I was whatever. So he gets the child out of the trap house and takes him to his house where, Janelle Monáe, who plays Therese, his girlfriend, wife, I don't know, takes him in and gets him some food. And he plays, here's another black male that they have him playing in all three characters, that stoic, quiet, dissociative type of traumatized black man. So we kind of talked about that in Get Out, and we talked about it in what was the last, Damascus, and things like that, how we have these black men playing these stoic, almost like selectively mute type character. Selectively mute is you get so anxious that for some reason you can't talk anymore. It's a psychological thing, but it's not selectively mute. It's more like a dissociative type of thing, and they're just quiet and staring and big-eyed, like shell-shocked eyes sometimes because of the things that they've been through or that they're currently going through. So we got this character and all three characters playing this type of traumatized. So he doesn't say anything at first when Juan picks him up, right? And he's just very quiet. And I've been traumatized, so like when I first saw this movie, I was just like, I hope he turns into a mentor. And he did, and it was magical, and I love that he was his mentor. But at the same time, this weird and it just kind of is a commentary on just living in the hood. So you're put in these poverty situations, and like you have this societal issue where like they're trying to take away your ability to even learn at school. You got teachers telling little black kids that they're stupid. You got states, they're not giving extra services to the kids that need the extra help and things like that. Like literally in Florida, they're trying to take away the extra accommodations for kids with learning disabilities, and it might be Florida. I forgot what state it was, but it might be Florida. For kids with learning disabilities or developmental disorder, they're trying to take away their ability to have the extra accommodations and the extra help. I mean, in the early 2000s, you had like the No Child Left Behind Act that basically pushed kids forward that didn't have critical thinking skills. That's why you have so many adults today that you just looking at them like, why? Even when you present them with facts, it's like they don't intake the facts, and it's like, what's going on? And so, I can see how it trickles down through the system, but at the same time, you have this weird dichotomy where he supplies the drugs that, basically turned his mom again, because they were in an apartment in the beginning. When he ran off to Juan's house, or when he was at Juan's house, he didn't say anything about where he lived or anything the first night. So I don't know if he didn't say anything just because he didn't want to get in trouble. Because when Juan returned him to his mom seemed kind of normal. Like, she gave him a hug. She was like, where was you at? that, and maybe she works a lot. It looks like she was just coming home from work the night before. She was working it looks like she worked at the hospital and things like that. So maybe he's a latchkey kid where, like I was low key a latchkey kid because my mom worked nights, but like I lived in the house with my grandmother. My grandmother's house was the type of house, it was like, Southern type shit where like anytime anybody needed a place to stay, they could come and stay at my grandmother's house. Like nobody had to be homeless. And so there was always people around me that was watching me, but like my mom was going nights, and so that still affected me. Like I remember up until like the age of 6 or 7, and I used to drive my grandmother crazy. I would have these extreme, this is why I think I'm neurodivergent, yo. I would have these extreme temper tantrums. I remember being 5 years old, and because my mom had taken like a leave of absence at some point between the age of 1 and 5, where she was always home because like she had taken a leave of absence because she had like mental health shit going on. I didn't know why she wasn't working. I just knew that she was home all the time. And then she decided that she was going to go back to work when I was like 4 or 5. And so I remember having these intense, extreme temper tantrums where I was like separation anxiety. I don't know what the fuck it was, but I would scream and cry for hours, and my grandmother wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Like she didn't spank me or nothing. She would just be like, you need to calm down. Like what's going on? And I remembered that shit, and I was just like, oh, that wasn't normal. And every time I look back, I'll be like, I don't even know what was going through my mind. I just, this intense like absence of this person. And so like it still affected me emotionally. So even if I was surrounded by family members at home, like my mom wasn't there. And so it could have been that he's like low-key latchkey kid, and it's just him and his mom, and she works nights, and she kind of expects him to take care of himself to a certain extent while she's at work. And so like maybe he was scared to go home because he was worried he was going to get in trouble, not necessarily because his mom was doing drugs or being abusive at that point. And because once he tells Juan, like, his address and stuff, and he wanted to go home, and he went home, his mom was like, she was because she didn't know who Juan was, so she was standing like, who is this nigga bringing my child home? Like I felt when I first saw this movie, like, oh, is this going to turn into some weird shit? But it didn't, so that's amazing. So I could understand why she was just like, no, you don't need to dap him up. Like, thank you. Bye. And she got him in the house, and she was just like very calmly. She wasn't yelling at him. She was just like, you can't be out all night like that. You got to make sure that you're safe. And no, you can't turn the TV on because like, like consequences, nigga. And so she goes and tells him to go read a book. So she seemed it's like, what's that movie I reviewed with Ving Rhames and whatchamacallit, and she was like a drug addict and stuff. Fuck, I'll put the thing. But it's like that movie. And like how when she wasn't doing drugs, she was like superwoman and shit, just fanciful. I wouldn't be surprised. She was a little neurodivergent herself, just fanciful, painting the room all different, making up a superhero for her daughter. She was just a whole different bitch, And so like, it's like when we think about drug use, like when I did the review for Requiem for a Dream, like that shit turns you into a fucking monster, nigga. Like all you care about is getting the drugs. You don't care about your kid and making sure that you don't go through withdrawal. It turns you into a literal fucking monster. And so like that's not fair to your children. It's not fair to the people that care about you. But at a certain point, it's literally out of your control. It's literally like your body fiends for it. So it's not, I don't want to excuse people's horrible childhoods with their addict parents and shit like that as, that was okay because they weren't in control. No, but it's like this dichotomy again. So like with Juan and the dichotomy of like, I lived in the hood in poverty and like, I'm not getting the support I need to go the direction I want to go when it comes to a career. I'm not being told anything, given any advice, any care. And so like, I had to do what I had to do, and there were casualties to it. But like, I still have decent people qualities inside of me enough to be able to see this child needs help and to be able to, care for this child. And so like, it's like that. It's like I started along a path that was fucked up. And now I have a parasite in me that won't let me the fuck go. And I have to be really, really strong minded to be able to let this shit go. And eventually she does go to rehab. And basically it seems like she lives at the rehab, and now she works there and she helps out, because I'm assuming that she was a nurse before, because she was wearing like a little nurse uniform. She could have been admin, but I'm assuming either she's doing admin or she was a nurse. And so like at the end of the movie, she's, helping out at the rehab, and she's also living there. And that's usually the case when it comes to like rehab centers and like rehabilitations for like there's this place called like Homeboy Industries or something. It's in downtown LA, and it's for like reformed gang members. And like me and my job went there on like a tour one time when I was working, and basically most of the people working there were the reformed gang members. Like the counselors were the reformed gang members and stuff. Like they went to college and they came back and they said they want to help out at Homeboy Industries and stuff like that. And so usually in rehab centers, a lot of those folks are former addicts. Like the therapists and the workers there tend to often be former addicts, because only an addict can really understand like the trials and tribulations of being an addict without judging the addict, because the addict is still the good person they were before they were the addict, and they're trying to get back to that, and they don't need people in their face judging them while they're trying to get back to being the decent person that they were before this parasite attached itself to them. So it's not okay. And children end up in really abusive and fucked up situations because their parents get on this train of addiction. So it's really, really bad. I hate to say but some of these people are really, really good people that are just broken, and there are casualties to their brokenness. And it's up to the casualties, if they survive, to decide if they want to forgive them later on, if they want to understand that. And if you choose to not want to be around this person, to not want to, interact with your parent because of the shit they put you through when you're a child, it is what it is. Sometimes you fuck over people so much that it don't matter what the reason was. Like, they don't want to be around you, love, and you got to accept it. That's a part of healing. That's a part of learning how to let go. You got to let go of the people that don't want to be around you because you hurt them too much. Because basically, it don't matter if you show up and you're a decent person now. Every time they're around you, their nervous system reacts as if they're being re-traumatized. And so it doesn't matter if you show up as a decent person anymore. And so with kids especially, there's a long period of time where you have a chance to be forgiven with kids. Sometimes it's forever. Sometimes it's till the day you die. You always have a chance to be forgiven by your child. But like sometimes it's like as soon as that child turns 18, they don't have a parent anymore for them. And you have to accept that. If you're healing, you have to accept it. You have to grieve it. And you have to move on with your life if you really want to heal. You can't keep bombarding them and trying to enter because you bombarding them and entering their life means now they've become your addiction. You're obsessed with trying to get them to love you. And if you've tried a few times and they have blocked you, turned you down, told you to leave them alone, you got to respect that. That's a part of healing, because you need to let go of anything that is not healthy for you. And forcing yourself into somebody's life that doesn't want you there is not healthy for you, love. So it's still their right to not want to be around you because you hurt them too much. And this does not include those people that like beat their that's a iffy too. The physical abusers. Because in Requiem for a Dream, they did get like them niggas got violent when they wanted their drugs. I think it's a gray area, because like the ones that get violent because they don't have their drugs, like his mom got in his face about money and getting some money, from him after he had visited Teresa's house one time when he was in high school, and she was getting aggressive and in his face, and she looked like she was gonna get violent. And so there are those ones, and then there are those ones that get off on beating their kids. They get off and they do it all the time, and then they use the drugs as an excuse. And it's like, no, and like the ones that like molest their kids and they use the drugs. I was on drug. No, that was already in you, love. There are plenty of people on drugs that do not get off on molesting or beating their children maliciously. So like she wasn't out here beating on him and shit. Like usually she was just like any drug addict. Usually like any drug addict, just like if she doing drugs and she like got a company, she just didn't want to. She was neglectful. She was emotionally and physically neglectful. Like she wasn't there mentally or physically. And so after Juan initially drops him off at his mom's house, he things seem okay at home for right now. Then we see kind of the progression of him through, elementary and how he interacts with boys. And I wonder what the director said to show that he had crushes and shit as a little elementary kid. Like, was he just like, I just want you to stare at this boy for like 10, count to 10 and stare at him? Or did he just like, I want you to pretend like you have a crush on this boy? I don't know. Cause he had to have known like he was playing like a little, prepubescent gay character, because they had a whole situation where he asked Juan what the F word was, and what like if he was gay or not. So he had to have known that, like the actor had to have known. So I'm just like so basically he has this little friend named Kevin, and Kevin comes in and out until like it throughout his life. Like I don't think he was like a best friend, because he wasn't hanging out with him like that all the time, but he was just there. But in elementary school they were a little bit closer, and so like they're playing on the field, and like the boys are messing with him because they call him Little. This is his first act, and where he's just a kid, and so he looks like he's like the smallest of them, and so they call him Little, and like that's his nickname. And so like they were bullying him on the field, like making fun of him, so he stopped playing the game that they were playing with the little paper ball that they made. And so Kevin comes up to him and he's like just staring at Kevin, like like when you're a kid and you have a crush. I was so bad for this. Like I would just stare you down when I was a kid and I liked you. I would just stare at you because I didn't know what else to do. Like I didn't know, like, am I supposed to tell these motherfuckers that I like them, or like are they supposed to tell me? And so I would just stare at you. And so I felt that stare so much when he was staring at Kevin. And then Kevin was like, oh, am I bleeding? And so like he touches his face and like looks at the blood, but I don't think he was staring. I just think he was staring at Kevin because he had a little elementary school crush. And that sucks too, because like that's the point where puberty is starting, and you can't talk to nobody about it. Like you can't tell nobody about it, and like it's overwhelming, all these hormones and emotions, and it's like that being gay is so quote unquote wrong and shit like that, and so you don't want people to make fun of you or make you feel bad about it, so you have to like keep this tumultuous waves of emotions inside of you and stuff. Kevin basically tells him that he needs to stand up for himself, so the kids don't think he's soft. And then Chiron's like, I'm not soft. And so he's like, they wrestle on the ground, and then it's like, oh, see, you aren't soft. And so then he goes back to like he walks back to he shows up at Juan's house after this, and like Juan is like now his mentor and shit, and Juan cares about this kid. Like he takes him down to the beach and talks about like how he came from Cuba, and he was a little wild thing running around like barefoot in the dark at the beach, and some lady was telling him how moonlight turns little black boys blue. And blue, because, and I like the color grading in this. So blue, every time we see blue, that is Chiron's calm point, his peace, his resting space, when he's like starting to accept himself, or little bits of himself, his full self. Because being gay is just a piece of him, but it's a big ass piece that he's not being able to express, so it's fucking with him and shit, right? Like when you see Red, apparently Red is like, when he's going through violence or experiencing abusive behavior from his mom. Like there's one scene where he gets back home and his mom is yelling at him, and then she walks into her room and it's just all like, I thought it was like hot pink, but the niggas online said it was red, but whatever. This red light coming out and shit. And then the bully, like the final scene in high school before it goes to act 3, the bully that like beats him up or stomps on him starts off in wearing a red shirt and shit like that. So things like that. Like, so basically he tells him about, how little black boys shine blue in the moonlight, which is so beautiful. It really is. And I think that sticks with him. Like Juan is like his really like a mentor to him and stuff. And I just feel like I like that he had somebody that saw him. And so he goes back home. Like Juan drops him off back home. And he's just, you can see how calm he is. Like he's still quiet, but Juan was like, how did you like the beach? And he just like, it was just a slight little smile, but there was like a light. This little boy could act. There was like a light that came into his eyes, and he had this little smile, and his shoulders were a little bit more relaxed, and he just seemed more at peace and shit. How do directors direct that? Like, like how do they like tell them to look just a little bit like? I mean, it comes from them too, but you got to explain it to them first a little bit sometimes. And so I just, especially children. So I just thought that was really nice. And then I like how it shows that like how as soon as you are around triggering things, even slightly triggering, it all just disappears, and he just starts to stiffen and look scared and look overwhelmed. So he goes back into the apartment. First Juan knocks on the door, and his mom snatches him into the apartment, and it's like some nigga there drinking OE and shit, and like she's grabbing shit off the table, right? So I'm gonna assume that this nigga introduced her to hardcore drugs, because like I said, when Juan first drops him off, she's still nursing, she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, she's calm when he was gone all night, she's calm when she chastises him, she gives him a big old hug and was like, I just want you to be safe and all this other stuff. And so I don't know if she was actually using or abusive at that point. I think they wanted to show, just like in that one movie with Ving Rhames and such, that like, who she was, a little glimpse of who she was before the drugs took her, before they swept her away into the sea of crack and things. And so, like now she's starting, I think this is a place where she's starting to use. And I think this dude introduced her. So she snatches her stuff off the table, runs into the room, and closes the door. And Chiron's just standing there staring, confused, doesn't understand like what's going on, but still understands that something's wrong. I'm not going to 100% say that she wasn't using drugs before, but I don't know if she was using drugs at the point where whatchamacallit first brought her home, because she didn't even know who he was, and so like maybe between the course of Juan first bringing him home to the point where Juan brought him home the second time, she has started on that path. Maybe when Juan brought him home the second time, that wasn't the first time, but it was the first time. It was up to that point that she had been using. So I don't know. I'm trying to decipher and understand. We also see more of him interacting as an elementary school student. So like in PE class, dancing with the other kids. Like it didn't look too different from what the other boys were doing. Like, I don't know. Like there was another boy behind him shaking and gyrating and stuff. Maybe it was just to show the freedom that he felt as a child and whatever. And there was a scene where they were all in this empty room and all the boys was looking at their PPs. Now there is a normal amount of sexual curiosity that little kids have. The normal amount is they looking at their PPs. They might touch each other occasionally, but it's not the overarching theme of what they do with other kids. That's when it starts to become an issue. When it's excessive, or they're always like masturbating, or they're masturbating in front of people, or they're looking at a lot of porn and things all the time. Or they're trying to touch either other kids non-consensually, or they're trying to touch adults in inappropriate ways. And so, but the normal amount is just like when you was a kid and you played doctor and you would just look at each other. You show me, I show you yours, or I show you mine, you show me yours, and shit like that. There's like a normal amount of, sexual curiosity because it's a part of your body and it gives you a lot of physical feelings, and those physical feelings happen without you even, like doing anything. Like they just happen, especially as puberty comes and stuff like that. So as you're having those feelings, the kids are going to be talking to each other about it, because sometimes it's easier to talk to your peers than it is to your parents about these private things and stuff like that. That's why when you put yourself too high on the pedestal as a parent, your kids, you can be the greatest parent ever, but if you put yourself too high on a pedestal as a parent and don't bring yourself down, like apologizing for mistakes, showing that you make mistakes, talking to your kids in friendly, not being their friend, but talking to them in friendly ways and, casual ways and things like that, like allowing them to come to you instead of like bombarding them and shit like that. Like the kids hold a certain level of respect for you, and they hold a certain level of you're an authority figure. You put yourself so high on the pedestal of being an authority figure, they don't know how to come to you. They're not comfortable coming to you. Like there were things I could not say to my mom because I knew she would crash the fuck out and she would show up at my school. Cause no, it happened one time. And then after she showed up at my school, niggas treated me different. That might have been when the bullying actually started. No, for real. Like I can remember back to kindergarten and preschool and remembering that I didn't go through those things in kindergarten and preschool. Like that might have been when the bullying actually started. And like she came, like this one teacher, she's a black lady, and I don't think she even meant this maliciously. I think she just was black, and we need to not spank children. This is why we don't spank children. Like I was being a fucking brat. I was like, we were doing this activity at school, and it was like a group activity, and I went to like a private like Christian school all up until like middle school, and we were doing this activity, and I think I was being a fucking brat or something, and she just like lost herself and smacked my hand real quick. She was like, stop. And I was just like, she hit me. So I went home and I was like, mommy, she hit me. And then my mom was like, well, show me what she did. So I took her hand, she went like this, not saying what I was doing or anything, just like and my mom went up to that school. I was just treated differently after, and the teacher was low-key like mad and would say little passive aggressive shit to me, and I'm literally like a child. I wasn't even thinking that it was snitching. I was just upset that she hit me. Like, you're not related to me. Why the fuck are you the audacity of this? Like, no, my mom would drill into me. Like, if someone touches you inappropriately, she would even tell me shit like, if anybody comes to pick you up from school and I didn't tell you that they were supposed to pick you up from school, don't get in their fucking car, even if it's a family member. She would tell me shit like that. Like, ain't nobody supposed to put their hands on you. Ain't nobody's like, she would drill that shit into me. So having that since birth, I was just like, the audacity of this hoe. My body is sacred. Only my mom is supposed to spank me. And maybe an auntie here and there. You're not supposed to hit me. And girl, I went home and I think I was saying it like I was chit-chatting with my mom and shit. I wasn't even saying it like I was tattletelling. I was at school today, and you know what happened? Girl, she hit me. And then she went up to that school. She's in front of, and it was like a little, like, you know them little private schools that are like, it's a church and then the school, and it's not a lot of kids in the school. It was just a little ass fucking school, right? She went up to that motherfucking school, walked up to the principal in the middle of the whole, like it was like a all grades classroom. That's how small this shit was. This how, like, and she cussed this, she, in front of every, I can still remember. No, my mom would do shit like they gave. We went to the supermarket one time, and I think they gave her a like they gave her the wrong change, and she was missing $1, and she didn't realize till she got back in the car, and she wanted me to go in the store and get the dollar. I looked at her and I said, "I will give you $1. I'm not going in there." She was like, "What do you mean? It's the principal. I'm not going in there. I don't care if you spank. I don't care." In front of the whole store, really? You want me to? You ain't got no sense of maybe there's some neurodivergency there. You ain't got no sense of embarrassment. Nothing. You want me to go in here and be belligerent for a fucking $1? Like, my nigga. So to have that happen at such a very young age, and have her come up to that school and cuss the principal and that teacher out in front of the whole school. That's how small that shit was. In front of the whole entire school. Absolutely not. I was gonna tell her shit ever again. Oh god, she was a good mom. She was a decent mom. She loved me. She taught me shit, like, but I was never gonna girl. If some shit I mean, maybe I shouldn't have been so. I was a child, I can't say nothing else, but I was a child, and maybe I shouldn't have been so extreme, because I was being bullied after that, and I didn't say shit. I wasn't gonna say anything. I just took that shit to the chin. Like, the principal eventually found out, and like he did this whole speech in front of the school about like being nice to kids, and like, there are 2 kids in here that you're not nice to, and it wasn't even racism, y'all, because like a good portion of them students were black and they were bullying me. So, I didn't say shit. I never said shit about them motherfuckers bullying me. I didn't say nothing. I was just sad all the time, and she didn't know why. No, because see, that's what I mean. That's why you can't be like, if she had came up to, like, made an appointment, came up to the school, pulled them into the office, and talked to them about it in private, away from the other students, then maybe. But you cuss them motherfuckers out in front of the whole entire, absolutely not. Absolutely the fuck not. And so anyways, like, so that's what children, they experiment and they talk to each other. Cause it's less embarrassing, like, if we're all the same. And so there's a normal amount of sexual exploration as children. If it's excessive, you'll know it's excessive. You really will. It'll be like, you'll catch them all the time. It's fucking weird. That means either they got some hormonal shit going on, or some shit happened to them. And they need to talk to a doctor or a therapist. And then I forgot to say, before Juan drops him off at his mom's house for that other time they were at the beach, so first we got the mom being like basically normal and decent. She works nights, so he's a latchkey kid. Then we got him, after this whole little adolescent exploration situation or whatever, he comes home, he notices that the TV's gone. So this is another sign that drugs are being used from the point of the first drop off, right? And like for some reason the hot water's off. Now I thought the hot water was connected to the gas, and it looked like it was a gas stove. So either there's something wrong with the piping, because I think it's supposed to be like a commentary on her not paying the bills because she's doing drugs or whatever. But why was he able to boil water on the stove? Maybe it's a commentary on living in the projects and stuff, and how now they got to live here. Wait, no, they were still in the apartment. Let me shut the fuck up. They were still in the apartment. So she had sold the television, and he had to boil water to take a bath. And I was just like, I'm trying to do the calculations. Like, it just seems like I was taught that the gas on the stove, if you have a gas stove, is also the same gas. It comes from the water heat. Maybe it's two different, but like you're paying for gas and water. So I don't know. Anyway, so then we got the drop off from the house again. Or wait. Okay, no, I was wrong. So we got the first drop off when he met Juan, when mom seemed normal. Then we got the second drop off where she had the dude over and was trying to hide the drugs. So she was still kind of like ashamed. Like, she was always ashamed, but she was like still enough in her right mind to like not have the shit laying around the kid. And then he came home after his little adolescent exploration, and the TV was gone. So it's escalating. They're showing an escalation. Okay. And then after the whole situation with the water and the gas, Juan goes to his little drug dealer employee. Oh God. He's like whatchamacallit in New Jack City. Like, he's like the nigga that lives in the Batman apartments in the hood, but he has a house on the beach instead, and it looks like a normal beach house situation on the inside. So he walks up to like chit chat with this nigga, with his employee and shit, and then he notices like some folks freebasing in the car. And basically, you ain't supposed to do the drugs where the drug dealers are. Like, when you go to like a weed dispensary, not that I have heard, people have told me, because I take my motherfucking license, bitch. I don't know what you're talking about. People have told me this. I don't know what you're talking about. I have friends and they tell me things. That basically you can't do the drugs in the parking lot of the dispensary. They don't even want you to open that shit in the parking lot. They want you to take your drugs and leave. Like, take your marijuanas and go. Like, no. So it's the same type of situation with street drugs, because if you got a bunch of niggas congregating and doing drugs in the same exact spot, then the police that the drug dealer is at, the police are gonna assume that the drug, like, that's what I'm thinking, and it's like a hot spot, and they go there and they'll just arrest the drug dealer. Like, if niggas is congregating around the drug dealer, like, or the drug dealer has to move because niggas like, that's what I mean. So he goes to the car and the mom's in the car, and so I think this is the first time he realizes that the mom does drugs and his effect on this baby. And I was just like, yup, you are, yup. Yup. I don't know what else is. Yup. Like, I just feel like I said when I reviewed New Jack City, I said, why don't we just amass, you get like $50,000. If you can flip drugs, you can flip 50. You can flip that shit into some other shit. If you have made enough to buy a house, why keep going? Why not just this? Why not have it be a temporary investment for like a year? You make enough money and then you end it. Like, niggas get greedy. Like, I would prefer you not to do it at all, but that's not how the system is made up for folks. And so I can't fully judge, like, they're about, in July of 2026, July 1st of that big beautiful bill, they have made it so that if you are trying to go to college and get student loans, They've capped it at $275,000 for everybody, full a lifetime. So basically, for undergrad and grad school, you know, if you go to the doctorate program that you got to pay out of pocket for, because not all of them are fellowships. They've capped it at $275,000 is maybe all of undergrad, and like if you do an accelerated program for a master's degree. Like if you are going to try to be a medical doctor where you got to be in school for like 8 to 10 years and residency and shit, like I don't know what they're trying to keep us dumb. And so the more not smart and, you know, tactical and stuff that we are, what happens is niggas get desperate and they go towards poverty crime because we want to have shelter and food. And then, you know, the worst of the niggas get greedy. So the only option I see with the society the way that it is either all black people band together and do what needs to be done, or you know, there's going to be a lot more crime and shit. So you could only imagine, like, the system wasn't that different back then when this movie was made, or when this movie, like the time period that this movie was based in, because I think when he's a kid, I didn't see no cell phones. I'm assuming, you know, it's supposed to be like the early 2000s or the 90s or some shit. So like, it is what it is. And so like, I think later that night, or maybe some day after that situation, you know, and she basically starts yelling at Juan, and she's like, "You're gonna raise my kid? You're gonna raise my kid? You the one that sold me the rock." And I was just like, you do need to take responsibility for yourself, but when you got that parasite attached to you, you know, he's the one that sold her the rock. Like, everyone's at fault. Like, girl, if he wasn't supplying it, I mean, she could have got it from somewhere else. You know, that nigga did come into her life and influence her, but you know, tis what it is. Anyways, so he just looks shocked. He can't say shit, right? And so after that, like a few days later, like Chiron comes home, and like his mama, and I love this actress. This is an actress that is from she played the witch in Pirates of the Caribbean and shit, and she has done other roles, and this bitch is range, nigga. No, because there's some actors, and there's nothing wrong with this, okay? Like, the movies they in still be good. They're literally just playing themselves as this character, and you can kind of tell. And then some niggas have range where they like I keep bringing this shit up because like I said, this was the most shocking experience I've ever had. Like Marlon Wayans in Requiem for a Dream, I'm so excited for him. Like, I've been waiting. I waited 12 years in Azkaban. Oh, see, look, there's like a stem. It came up out of nowhere. That woman is using that money to legislate laws to kill the trans folks and shit, and it's Nazi Germany, and you know, anyways, like, gotta bring it back up. I can't, because if I dwell, I will dwell. Anyways, like Marlon Wayans, like I waited. I didn't think this nigga was gonna show his range again. I just was like, well, I guess he's gonna stick to comedies. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing, you know. I like to laugh and shit. It's cool. But like when you see somebody switch it up like that, and like, that's range, nigga. That was a different motherfucking nigga. I didn't know who that was. I was like, who the fuck is this nigga? Like, so like. This bitch that plays his mom is amazing. She got fucking range, nigga. She turns into a whole different motherfucking bitch. And that's an artist. That's a motherfucking artist and shit, nigga. Like, That is art. That is you put on a whole different I don't know who you are from character to character. Like that's an artist. And so anyways, like she's yelling at him some shit, but it's like silence. But we at the end he has like a nightmare, and basically she has said don't look at me and shit. She's just so ashamed, but it's coming out as abusive. And so like it's wrong and horrible because look at his life. Look how he lived. He didn't have to live like that. If his mom was loving and supportive and shit with her little gay son, and they could have had like a little nice life, and she could have worked her way up, they could have got a house, but you sold me the rock. But then you got with that nigga that was talked you into smoking the rock, girl. Like I don't know. I don't know. So anyways, and I can see it too because she works nights as a nurse, and like she has to be up all night. So why not smoke crack? That's an upper. Why not smoke crack? I could see how you could talk having a job like that's stressful and shit. I could see how you could talk yourself into smoking crack. No, that's like niggas in college that don't have ADHD, because when you don't have ADHD, like ADHD medication works like uppers, like speed. But when you do have ADHD, it actually slows your train of thought down. And so they use that shit to like stay up and study and hyper focus and do all this weird shit. Like, so I can see how you could fall into some shit like that. That's all I'm saying. It ain't right. I'm just saying. I'm just connecting dots. And so anyways, after that situation with his mom yelling at him, he goes to Juan's house and he asks Juan like what a F word is and stuff. And Juan's just like, he's like, that's the bad thing that people call gay people. And he was like, well, am I F word? And he's like, no, you're not F word. And then this nigga was going to say, unless. I'm just like, oh God. I'm glad Janelle Monáe looked at him and was like, no, nigga. I wonder what he was going to say. Like, I'm curious now. Like, unless what, love? Like, unless what? And so, like, he tells him that it's okay to be gay, but don't call yourself the F word because that's not cool. And da-da-da-da-da. And Janelle Monáe is like, you was always safe here and blah, blah, blah. And then he just gut checks this nigga, right? He's like, do you sell drugs? And then this nigga's like, yeah. And he's like, is my mom on drugs or something like that? And he's like, yeah. And so the kid just gets up and walks out the house. Like, he's just... the betrayal. Like he's connecting the dots like my mom is, but then at the same time he's already emotionally attached to this nigga so much that he still hangs around this nigga, and at some point this nigga dies. They don't tell us how he died. I was just gonna give it to the game, but the way this motherfucker Juan broke down and started crying after that child said that, I wouldn't be surprised if he like unalived himself and committed suicide. And I just like, how do you live? He has empathy and shit. Like, how do you live once you see the impact of what you're doing to your community, or how you're playing a part in the degradation of your own community? Like, if you have empathy, that's just gonna fuck with you. So I don't know. They never really say. They just said, like, they kept mentioning funerals and shit like that. And basically, Therese has become his mentor mother, his mother. She basically his mama. If he wanted to move into her house, she would let him. But like, I feel like his biological mother would come and burn that shit to the motherfucking ground. Because underneath all that shit, she still wants her child. She still loves her. She not gonna let that shit. It's like my mom showing up at that motherfucking school and cussing them people out in front of the whole girl. How would you do that, like, to a child? So like, this color scheme is like yellowish and shit, like giving jaundice and shit in high school. Like, just hiding who he is, getting crushes on niggas. Came home from Teresa's house and his mom is like crashing the hell out looking for a Jones and looking all yellow with the color scheme. It was looking all yellowish and jaundice in the face and screaming at him. Then she went from love bombing, like, oh, how you doing? tell you something. To like, did she give you some money, nigga? Give me the money, nigga. And then she was like grabbing at his clothes and shit like that. And I was just like, okay, girl. Also in this period, we're solidifying the crush on Kevin even more so. And like, he's being bullied by this nigga in class that has dreads. Like, I think it's like a dreads wig or some and it was like very homoerotically that this nigga was bullying him, like homophobically. And there's like this study where they attach these like sensors to like the penises of homophobic men and the penises of men that just didn't give a fuck either way, like heterosexual men that just were content in their sexuality and shit. Then they made both groups watch gay porn. Who got erections? Want to guess? The homophobic niggas got erections and shit, while the ones that didn't really, they were secure in their heterosexuality and stuff, and so it was just kind of like, and they were accepting of people, they didn't get erections. They were just chilling, like, oh look, you know, some dick, some balls, how much y'all gonna give us again? You know. And so like, that's very telling, because the homophobic bullying that, you know, they do to the gay folks is very homoerotic sometimes. Like, they'll like say like sexual innuendo-ish things, or even touch them, or make them touch them, or even sexually assault these niggas. So I just feel like, are we red shirts, are we hiding behind, you know, a door that looks like a box that has clothes in it, and we are so upset and overwhelmed by this hiding that we, you know, instead of working on ourselves and blah blah blah, self-love and therapy and trauma-based therapy and all those things, we said, no, it's the gay niggas' fault that are around me. It's not my fault. It's the ones that are comfortable with it. You should be uncomfortable too. You should be so uncomfortable that you're angry and pissed off just like I am all the time. Like, the audacity for me to get erections at niggas. So because you're not angry, I am going to punish you for not hating yourself like I do. Miserable. And I'm going to use whatever object of authority I need to use to do it, whether it be the Bible. I will twist that shit up to make it sound whatever way I need to sound, because you don't deserve to be happy in your sexuality when I can't be. You know what? Now I get this episode of SVU I saw. It was an episode where like they were trying to catch this, you know, pedophile, and like they found out that it was actually like a vigilante pedophile that has these strict rules about not touching children and all this other stuff, but he would post like non-sexual pictures of children on this website for other pedophiles to look at, so that they have something to like ease the urge and whatever without having to actually touch children, right? And there was this, like, they found out that the person that actually did like that, like the person, so no, what happened was, okay, let me rewind. So what happened was, this little teenage boy came into the office, right? He was like 16, 17, and he reported himself as a pedophile and having urges to want to touch his sister and shit like that. And he said he hadn't done it, so they didn't know what to do, because like he hadn't done it, right? And so like for some way, somehow they found this nigga that was an older pedophile, and he was like a vigilante pedophile but had this weird ass fucking website, and like he was like, oh, I have strict rules and da-da-da. And then they found out that this boy was coming to him for advice and shit, right? And then eventually the boy like snapped and assaulted this little girl in the park and shit. Or this little girl in the park and shit, right? And then they found him like dead, right? They didn't know who did it. So come to find out, it was the older vigilante pedophile. And then his reason was because, like, I have strict rules around not actually touching children, and it's not fair that he gets to touch the babies and I don't, and I have to adhere to these strict rules and stuff because I don't want to traumatize children, so he had to die. And I'm just like, you don't see how you like just as bad as, what are you talking about? Like, because it conduited into something even worse. Like not even what, they're both bad. Like all of it's really bad. Like it just conduited into something else bad. Like you're not healed. Like, and then you're taking people's pictures of their babies in like off of Facebook and shit, strangers' babies, and putting it on this password protected website for other people that are like you, that have similar rules to you, but like you're not 100% sure that they wouldn't like crash out and like stalk one of these little babies whose pictures you posted on the internet and stuff, because you're not thinking that far. You just want to still get your rocks off in some way to appease the whatever the fuck. You don't care how it's how it could potentially affect. You're just wetting their whistle and shit till they want the, like, till one of them snaps and wants the real thing. Like, it's all bad. Like, what are you? So these homophobic niggas is out here mad and conduiting it through. Like, I'm gonna beat your ass because you don't deserve. It's not fair that you can be out here swishing and fucking and I can't. So fuck you up. Oh, it's horrible. Like, girl. Do you not see how that's insanity? Do you not see how that's insane? And it will never ever stop the pain inside of you, and you will grow old and die with this pain and always trying to appease this. You're like in control. You're like being controlled. You're like literally being controlled every day of your life. That sounds like it's like if you turn the engine on in your car and just leave it on and see till, I don't know what happens. I don't know. Does it explode? Like, just leave it on. I'm sure something really bad happens. Like I'm sure it's something that's really bad that happens, and I don't want that inside of me. That's how you get cancer and shit. That accentuates the DNA that causes cancer that's probably already in your DNA and shit. Like, it seasons it. It's like pouring hot sauce on that bitch. Like, hottest of hots. Until, like, you ain't got no choice. Your body ain't got no choice but to get cancer. Like, it's just, it would have been less likely. Like, you probably would have had like a 13% chance if, like, you tried to like just love on yourself and rest as much as possible and all the things. But like now you got like a 90% chance of getting cancer because you poured hot sauce and accelerant on that motherfucker and lit a match. Absolutely not. Absolutely, Lord, I just need to love myself. I do. Ooh. In the name of Jesus, because you got me fucked up. I don't have it. I don't. Them niggas is walking time bombs, ticking time bombs. They just gonna explode one day. You remember in the 90s when people would like internally implode and shit? I believe that shit was happening too. Like, I don't know. It could have been. Them pictures look real and shit on what was that show? The mystery show? Mr. Put the thing, Mr. America's Mysteries or some shit. That man with the voice, to America's Mysteries. Absolutely not. And then there's the extreme homophobic ones. Like, you just got the ones that are like in the closet and shit, don't want to tell nobody. Like this nigga Chiron, he ain't out here hurting niggas and shit, but like I'm sure he's in excruciating pain like all the fuck. Girl, I just you just gotta weigh if like what hurts worse, living in your truth? Like, what are the consequences that you may get in society and shit? Like, what would hurt worse, living in your truth or like holding that shit into the day you die? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, because the way the world is, I don't know. Like, I'm not in the community, so I don't know. Like, I live in my truth just because the other shit hurts worse, and then I spiral into these dark places, and I absolutely not. I'm not doing that. But like living in my truth, like I just be living and shit. But like I'm sure I got like access to certain things just because the way I look and you know the class level of money I make. I don't know, like all them privileged things and shit that you like have and shit like. The size of my body, I don't fucking know. So like it's easier a little bit to live in my truth than it would be for certain other people that society be scorning and shit. So I don't know. You have to ask yourself that. That's an individual. No, because I'm not doing just blanket statement. Everybody should live in their truth. And like, I don't know your motherfucking situation, bitch. You could be in one of them countries where they do the female genital mutilation and you can't escape. You're supposed to be like, cuss your family out and then they kill you. Shit. Not everybody is a martyr. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna judge you for not wanting to be murdered by your fucking family. Shit, nigga, what are you talking about? So you gotta gauge like what can you withstand? What can you withstand? What can you deal with? What can you work your life back up from scratch from? And then go from there. And if you feel like you can't escape, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I just like I said, living in my truth feels better than not. Like, I just so God bless the people that can't just make that decision. Like, God bless them, because that's some bullshit. Everybody should have the right to make that motherfucking decision for themselves. I'm tired. I hate you know, living in your truth in a healing way that does not involve harming people. You know, let me preface. What if living in my truth means I want to be a serial killer? Girl, get the fuck. That's not living in your truth. Why would you need to do something that is temporary each time so that you have to keep doing it forever to feel better? Like, that's temporary, and it takes you to this extreme place in your nervous system if you don't have it, to where like, and then there's these extreme consequences to where you could go to jail forever, or like somebody could fight back and kill you. Like, that doesn't sound appealing. That doesn't sound like living in the truth. That sounds like you're putting yourself in danger and you're putting other people in danger, and like you're trying to feed a beast inside of you. It sounds like an addiction. It sounds like you're controlled by your addiction and you can't make other choices in life when it comes to like finding peace. Like, the only way you can find real peace is to hurt people. Like, that's weird to me. It is. It's weird. It's weird. So anyways, I don't know where the fuck I was. He's in high school, right? And this boy is bullying him, and so he's trying to keep out of this boy's reach, and Kevin is giving him the googly eyes and shit. He stops him in the hallway talking about how he was fucking some bitch in the stairwell. Very graphic story. I know niggas talk to each other like that, but I just feel like Kevin just was giving him the googly eyes. I don't give a fuck. And he was saying little innuendo things. He was flirty. This is a romance too. This is a romance novel. Boys love. I don't care. No, and the thing is too, I hate that at the end the grown actors couldn't kiss. Like, I was just like, were you, because the younger ones did and they have successful careers. What was it? No, that would have, it's like watching a Korean drama and you watched all 15 episodes and they don't kiss until the last scene of the last episode, and it's like this whack ass like closed mouth weird shit, like rope, like mannequins kissing or some shit. But you know, it's a little bit. One day we are gonna get a Korean drama that's just like, you know, the dark romance novels, and they like, he just like, and it's just like in Game of Thrones, but like consensually and like, you know, smuttily, and it's magical. That's all that it's missing. Like, I don't care. balls out, vagina out, fucking like. They passionately, like, it builds up and it builds up, and then it's like, and then they passionately start kissing, and then they fucking up against the wall, and it's just so romantic. No, because the plot, the storyline, the acting is top motherfucking tier to not have us. Like, it's just like, it's like no release. Like, it's a good story and you believe that they love each other, but there's no like finish. So you're like, oh, this was so beautiful and emotional and la 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 la, but then another part of you is like unsatisfied. So I don't care what you're talking about. Like, could you imagine a 15 episode, and then they build it up in the first 3 episodes, you know, and then like there's that oh, we gotta stay at the hotel and there's only one bed or some shit like that, and then they just fucking. And then you get them fucking. We don't want it to be gratuitous, whatever. We don't want it to be too fucking much, okay? It's like every other episode they fucking. Because we still want the plot and the storyline, but like there's the build up and they fucking like. I hope somebody that be in Korean dramas or Asian dramas, because there's, you know, Chinese dramas and Japanese dramas and shit. So the Asian dramas, I hope they see this. And I just want one. Just one. That will be my fixation. Korean and then it's English dubbed by good actors, because I can't pay attention to one thing for too long. Unless if it's that good, maybe girl, because girl, I don't know how I got into this. Oh yeah, because they don't kiss at the end. I just felt like, you know, we had to watch Jake Gyllenhaal and whatchamacallit, God rest his soul, fuck, and, you know, Brokeback Mountain. They was all over each other and shit. And I know, like, you know, white supremacy, white men no, the little niggas did it. The little niggas kissed on the mouth and everything. And look, that one nigga was in the Wu-Tang Clan situation, and that other nigga was in the Central Park 5. They acting still and shit. Like, I don't know, that makes it go out. These niggas was get some real gay niggas I don't care. We got real gay niggas to play these parts. That's all, you know, like, it's. So it was felt unsad. Like, it was nice. Like, oh, he laid his head on his shoulder and they like looked sad and he was rubbing his scalp and shit. But that could have been like 2 friends hugging and shit. Like, you know, like, I don't. No, because Kevin was at least bisexual. Like, if he was giving him googly eyes and saying all this sexual innuendo stuff, and this nigga called him to come over. He called that nigga and he played him a song and he made him Cubano food, and it was garnished and he was taking his time with it and he was putting the little leaves on it, and then he pulled out the good wine and shit with the cups, and nigga, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Y'all niggas are some cowards. Why you ain't getting real gay niggas to play this shit, nigga? Like, there's gay niggas. Why I gotta be like the little 16-year-olds kissing it? Please, see, now my mind is going places. Like, why is that okay? But these grown ass men kissing is like, no, nigga, like, no, I was upset. No. Mm-hmm. I hope they make a Korean drama where them niggas just be jumping on each other, because that's what the tension be in Korean dramas. The tension is like, I'll fuck the shit out of you. We'll fuck the shit out of each other. Like, you know, long and slow, fast and hard, all the shit, nigga. Like, that's the tension. That's what it feels like in these. That's how good these motherfuckers act. And you got all this tension built up just for them to kiss like mannequins on the lips on the last scene of the last episode or shit. Like, and then it's like, well, it was so beautiful and romantical, and they love each other, magical. Anyway, so basically, they have a little rendezvous on the beach, because like after his mom takes his money and shit, he's just like overwhelmed and upset, and like, you know, he just feeling the type of way. And then this little boy at school bullying him and messing with him homoerotically and shit. He runs away to the subway, and he stays on the subway and rides it around and around and around, and then until it closes. And then he goes and sits on the beach. So I guess these niggas live next to each other, because here come Kevin, seeing him on the beach in the dark. This nigga is dark as night. I don't know how Kevin kept, see, they're soulmates. That's how he saw his aura and shit in the dark. Because they're soulmates. In the name of Jesus. Oh, beautiful. Yes. Oh, could you imagine these niggas had fucked? That would have been nice. That would have been fun. Good for them. Yes. Not the little boys, the grown ass men, the nigga with the big ass muscles. You know, boys love. Boys love. I don't care. I don't know what it is. It would have just been nice. I would have felt happy for them. Shut up. Anyways, like, what do you call it? They sitting on the beach, then, you know, like, Kevin jacks him off. They talking up to some point where they, you know, Kevin jacks them off and shit, and they kissing and all the stuff, and it's beautiful for the children to be doing children things. And so anyways, he had his little sexual awakening. It was like a whole experience and things for him. And he goes home and he has that like same kind of euphoric thing he had after, like, when Juan brought him back from the beach and shit, like, you know, his little like calm moment, because, you know, he had an experience and shit. That was magical. And like, he sees his mom on the couch, and she sleep in some drugs haze and some shit, and she's talking about, you don't love me anymore, just very narcissistically and shit coded. And she said, and he's like, and she's like, you're my only, and just very codependently coded and stuff, because when you deal with an addict, that, you know, you become codependent on each other and stuff. Like, they basically, you become their caregiver and shit, nigga. Like they are relying on you in very extreme ways that are not healthy. So anyways, he goes to school the next day, and he wants to sit next to Kevin, and he's excited, but then the bully sits next to Kevin. And I think he low-key peeping that whatchamacallit, Chiron and Kevin are friends and shit, right? So I think he just orchestrated this to be, you know, homoerotically evil and watch these niggas fight. And so, like, he talks Kevin, and this is like pure teenage peer pressure. This is not, oh, Kevin's like evil, and this is why peer pressure is a thing. These teenagers don't want to look a type of way, because they have to keep going to school every day with these people, just like I had to keep going to school every day after my mom went up there and cussed everybody out in front of the whole school. And so I had to endure for years. And these kids don't want to endure for fucking years, the next couple years, because that feels like a lifetime, because you have to see these people every fucking day. They live in your neighborhood. Like, you ain't going off to college and shit, nigga. Like, yeah, you should have a heart and be a man and shit, nigga. But like, ain't everybody that strong, especially not kids. So I'm gonna give him like a slight pass, as he's not evil or malicious. There you go. Because it wasn't right. Like, it was still like fucked up, but like, it wasn't fucked up in, oh, Kevin's evil and malicious and shit. It was fucked up in, like, you know, I wish you had like a stronger upbringing so you could love yourself more, so you could have said no to this nigga. And now look, you lost a friend. Consequences. It's a bitch. And so he decides that he's gonna play this game, is knock 'em sock 'em robots, right? He's hit him in the face till he knocks him down, and this nigga of course picks whatchamacallit for him to fight, right? And then he tells him to hit him, and so this nigga of course looks sad, and then he hits him in the face, And he knocks him down, but this nigga keeps getting back up, like, and he's telling him, "Stay down, stay down." He look like he about to cry and shit. And this nigga like, "Nah, nigga, you gonna face this. You gonna face what you doing." Like, this nigga had heart and shit, nigga. Like, it was amazing. And so, like, he finally knocks him down. Then these coward motherfuckers gonna jump this bitch and start stomping. I'm tired. I just, I hated that for him. It was the devil. And so, like, the counselor or principal or whatever is talking to him, right? And she's like, "You need to report him. You need to report him." And will they go to jail? Will all of them go to jail? Do they have people outside the jail? Like, this nigga could literally end up dead for sending this nigga to the police. So it's like a, are you willing to deal with the consequences that could potentially happen are you that brave? And if you're not that brave, it is what it is. But he was brave enough to come back to school the next day and knock that nigga upside his head with a chair. It was magical. He said, "I'd rather risk myself going to jail. They're gonna put me away for this. I don't care. I'm gonna be away from this nigga." So that was the best option for him. And I felt it, like, when you grow up in that situation and shit, he was already in prison. He's in prison with his mom. He was in prison with being gay and not being able to come out the closet and shit because he didn't feel comfortable in his environment to do so. Like, this was just another prison. And so I'm gonna beat the brakes off this motherfucker. I feel like he made the best decision for his situation. It's not like he didn't do nothing and just sat up there and took it and shit until he graduated. Like, you know, like, if he had survived and didn't die and shit, like, he probably could just got up out of there if he had good grades and, like, got scholarship. No one's telling these kids that. No one's telling. And right now, will we even have money for school? Like, so it's getting to Act 3, and now he's black. That is the nickname that his first love gave him because they're soulmates. Fuck. They're soulmates. They love each other. It's beautiful. They just needed to like learn about themselves a little bit more before they got back together. Sometimes that happens. Like, I watched this Korean drama movie today, and, you know, like, they just had to learn about themselves. They just had to learn about themselves a little bit more before they could, like, really fully be together. And it was okay. And it was even more better because they knew who they were a little bit more. I mean, these niggas don't know 100%. I think, like, Kevin knows a little bit more about who he is. And I think he will be a good influence on Chiron because he's not a hoodlum. He was coming to school in skinny jeans and a plaid fucking shirt, nigga, in the hood. Like, that was like some alternative clothing back then. That wasn't like the typical shit hood niggas wore in the hood. So, you know, he's a little quiet nigga, stood in the corner, didn't say much, you know, to himself, just looking. Like, he wasn't giving off like hoodlum and shit, like stuff like that. So, you know, they meet back up, or they're going, like, in this last final scene, they're going to meet back up, right? But it starts off with him, like, driving around with his drug employee. So now he's a drug dealer. Now he's got all these muscles, and, you know, he feels like he's this big baddie and everything. It's magical for him, but he still doesn't really know himself. And, like, he giving little flirtatious eyes at his little drug employee and shit, but not really doing nothing because, you know, like, I don't think his drug employee, like, is into him like that, and that could, like, cause him to have issues with his reputation because he's, like, you know, a drug dealer and shit, right? In the hood. And black people don't like gay people sometimes, and it's horrible, especially our own kind that's gay. And so, you know, he gotta maintain a position. So he's just giving him, like, googly eyes and shit, but he's not gonna, like, make a move or nothing because, you know, he's in the closet and shit, right? And so he still isn't able to really fully express himself or be seen. So He does that thing in the morning where you get up and you put your face in ice water and shit. Like, I wonder if niggas got. I mean, I'm sure niggas was doing this. Like, this, they probably got this from the Asian people and shit. It's probably some Korean skincare shit. I don't know. Like ancient times and shit. But like to see that and to realize that niggas is doing that like now more so since that other nigga did it. I just wonder. I just was the influence this movie a little bit. So maybe. Maybe. I mean, it's nothing wrong. I'm just curious. Anyways, you know, like he's like his mom calls him at some point. She wants him to come visit her at the rehab, and he's just like, oh shit, fine. So like after his mom calls him, he gets a phone call from Kevin. And so Kevin is calling him out the clear blue sky. It's been a decade, so they're like 26 or some shit. So Kevin's just like, somebody came into the diner and they look like you. It's like that Alicia Keys song. It's me from the diner. You like the chocolate milk with milk and shit. So you like the hot chocolate with milk and shit. It's just like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, I'm in Atlanta, and he's like, I'm still in Florida. I'm a cook. I learned how to cook when I went to jail, and I'm like getting my life together in rehab and blah 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 blah. So he's like, if you're ever in town, you know, just come and see me, just like Alicia Keys. You know, you always smile when you come in, or you always tip when you whatever the fuck she said. Something's wrong with me. And so he has a wet dream after that phone call. Yes, I told you that's his soulmate. And then he goes back to Florida and to visit his mom. And you know what? And it's so like his mom is all repentant and shit. She's like working at the rehab center. She's apologetic, and he decides that he's gonna slowly build a relationship with her. Right? It's vibes. And then like he goes to the diner. he goes to the diner. Oh god, it's so cute. And then, you know, he brushes his hair. He wants to look nice for his nigga and shit. It's so beautiful. And he goes in the diner, right? And like, it's so cute. It is. It's just so cute. And they like have a conversation, right? And like he makes him his little Cubano food with like the garnish and shit, and it's magical for him and all this stuff, right? And then they talking, and he tells him that he's a drug dealer, and he's like, what do you mean that's not you? And he's like, you don't know me, nigga. And this nigga look at him, it's like insinuations and shit, like they dancing around the bush and shit, like. And he's like, I know you, nigga. And he looks at him intently, and they drinking their wine, and they go to his house, and he goes and changes into some other clothes. He's been working all night and shit. I hope he did at least a little whole bath or some shit. Girl, no, he was working and sweating and shit. Maybe he might like that though, like little musty balls. It's fine, like, you know, to each their own. What's wrong with me? Oh shit, no, because that nigga was looking like he was smelling and tasting fine, like just, you know, beautiful, you know. And I just feel like we could have just made sure we did a little whole bath and shit, just like little cologne and little shit like that. Wait, I just leave me alone. And so this nigga tells him like basically he's still a virgin and he ain't had no nigga touch him ever, and like all this other shit. And so then they like give each other a bro hug and it's over. And he feels calm. He's back in the moonlight and it's calm and blue and all this other shit. It's over. What? They gave each other a bro hug. It was nice. He gave him a little scalp massage. It was nice for them. It was beautiful. Magical. What? It was. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know. You know, but so that was Moonlight. Let me know what you thought. I mean, this is a good ass fucking movie. I don't know what to say. Like, it's a good movie. It'll show you some shit about, boyhood and, gay folks in boyhood and black gay folks in boyhood and what they have to experience and a little taste of it. It's not the whole thing and shit. Like, imagine if he was like flamboyant and shit. Like, that's just their personality. They can't help that shit. And so, like, what if he was like flamboyant gay and shit? Like, imagine. What if he was like trans or some shit? Like, like all the shit that, like, because these things like make it more obvious. Because I didn't see like what they were seeing, whatever they were seeing when he was in elementary school, like what to make the mom be like, you see how he walks? I just saw this sad little boy walking around with his head down. Like, I don't know what the other folks were seeing to say that, oh, he's like, I mean, he was sitting around staring at boys. I mean, maybe it was obvious and licking his lips and shit. Like, maybe it was like obvious to other people because other people can see you. Other people see you and they see the direction of your eyes, love. They can see where your eyes are directed. I had to learn that late in life. So pay attention, be mindful, cause I can see you. And so, maybe that was it. I don't know, cause I didn't see it, but it's a good movie. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. Abbott Elementary starts October. They didn't get any good shows this summer. I mean, there was. Maybe, oh God, shows take so long. I don't know. It'll be a surprise. I'll tell you, it'll be a surprise. Anyways, let me know what you thought of this review. Like, share, and subscribe. Later days.